Adventures in Imperfect Living.
Hey, greetings, folks. My name is Greg Willits from RosaryArmy.com.
And I'm Jennifer Willits, his wife.
Welcome to another show. Wasn't sure if we were going to get this one out to you, but here we go.
We're going to do this. You guys are worth it, even if it's a little shorter. Who cares? We're here because we have important stuff we want to tell you all about.
We're under the wire to get this done because we're recording this Sunday after Mass. The liturgy, because it's Corpus Christi as we're recording this, went for over 2 hours today. That we had a regular TLM, traditional Latin Mass, that we attended, but they did it High Mass today, so it was already long with a lot of extra liturgical singing. But then after that, we had a really long exposition benediction.
Correct.
And well, no, it was fine. I'm just saying it was really long.
You've said long like 4 times.
It was like I thought at one point we were doing the Stations of the Cross because they at the last minute at the end of Mass they passed out these booklets. It was storming rain. We were supposed to go outside and have this Eucharistic procession outside. But then the rain's coming down so hard, there's like, we're going to stay there. They pass out these booklets, and I look over at you. They didn't have enough for everyone to have one. So I look over at your booklet, and I just saw, the priest starts reading from Scripture, and it says, the first station. And I literally was like, okay, that doesn't make sense, because I'm just thinking stations. Mm-hmm. Well, you only do stations during Lent. I don't know what stations these are that we're doing. And I actually grabbed your booklet from you a few times, and I'm like, how many? We're not doing 14 stations, are we?
What happened to the other booklet that I gave you? Did you give it away?
Yeah. The guy next to me didn't
have anything.
He didn't have
okay. And this is just has to be part of the American Catholic way. Or maybe it's like this universally around the world where you're going to do something different in the liturgy because it's a special occasion. And extra booklets are passed around, but there's a meeting beforehand where we can all get on the same page.
Where we can all get a clue
what's about to happen. And so there's a lot of confusion. Like, should we be kneeling? Do we stand? We don't really fully know what's about to happen here. And so we're all looking for context clues. Like crazy trying to figure out, because we've already worshiped a full, beautiful High Mass liturgy, and now we're going into bonus round of worship.
I was thinking of Mac.
Oh no!
Because Mac has a thing about just liturgies are supposed to be a certain length. We were at church. We were kneeling. I mean, we knelt for a good 45 minutes at the end there,
and we weren't supposed to, because if you looked at the directions, it says you just kneel for the stational prayer.
I was watching our pastor.
Yes.
And I was watching the guy who sits in the
MC. I don't know what his role is.
But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. He's an altar server that guides us visually as to sit, stand, or kneel.
And so I was just...
And he knelt the whole time. So we knelt.
What's interesting is
until our knees gave out.
This is Feast of Corpus Christi, and longtime listeners to anything that we've done, whether it be the old Rosary Army podcast, whether it be the Catholics Next Door when we were on Sirius XM, and then even afterwards, we've talked about the Eucharistic Congress in Atlanta, and that was such a huge thing for us. It was always on the weekend of Corpus Christi, is typically when it was celebrating the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus. And it's weird because I won't say my devotion hasn't lessened at all. It's changed and morphed. I really used to depend on the Eucharistic Congress every year, but it's changed, and COVID did some of this too, right? COVID screwed up the schedule. The last few years, some of the speakers, I was like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. And then now this year or next year, the National Eucharistic Congress is going to be happening in Indianapolis. And so there's all it feels like what my schedule of adoration that I was used to has just been very topsy-turvy. And that's one of the things we were going to talk about is keeping schedules, right? Keeping schedules during the summer. One of the rhythms that I felt we've had for years, even when we moved to places that didn't have a Eucharistic Congress, when we were in Denver and Indiana, I was always very aware when the Eucharistic Congress was happening in Atlanta. And I missed it. I always missed that kind of Catholic family reunion thing. I haven't gone to a Catholic conference of any sort. The last one I went to was, no, that's not true. I was going to say the last one I went to was Yeah, the last one I went to was one that I spoke at. I went to the Nashville Men's Conference in February of 2020. I gave a talk at that conference. And then after that, COVID, everything was canceled. And so summer times have always had that rhythm of, well, there might be the Eucharistic Congress, or there might be some other conference to go to, and that's all topsy-turvy. So going to something today at church was very good. I'm glad that it was as long as it was. I'm glad that they gave it the attention. It seems like, it was like if any church in the Archdiocese of Atlanta is going to give attention to what we saw today, it was our parish is going to do it. I mean, I don't say that in any sort of bragging way. It's just sort of like our priests have thrown down the gauntlet for all the other priests and all the other parishes to follow. So I'm not complaining at all, Father Jack or Father John. I'm not complaining at all. It's not a complaint. This is an observation. It was great, but I did think of Mac several times. Mac would have been like, we would have heard the Mac. We would have heard the Mac Baron sigh in the middle of it.
He would have said, "Land the plane" to the choir.
Well, the plane was landed. I mean, these were it wasn't like our church made these things up. These are established things that our church is bringing back.
Right. It just was super beautiful and super reverent, but it gave us a lot to reflect on because it felt like it was challenging for our physical bodies actually to kneel as long as we were sort of encouraged to kneel. And so I'm sure your knees were screaming. My knees, I was like, okay, that's fine. We can do this. We can offer this up. This is actually an opportunity to offer any physical suffering that we might be feeling right now and to unite it to our prayers. And we say all the time.
I totally wasn't doing that.
I was trying. I didn't at first, and I thought, you know what? This is tough. And even singing this much, we're not even used to singing as much as we were invited to sing for this very special benediction prayers for the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament today. But I thought, you know what? I have to do this because it's hard. And whenever you do something that feels like you just can't, it goes against your spiritual grain to do it, I think it's more spiritual efficacious if you can actually do it. And so do it. Sing when it's hard to sing, because you're not singing for yourself. You're not singing because you feel like you're in a good mood. You're not singing so that other people can hear your voice. You're just singing to God who is worthy of your praise in song. And so sometimes that's really hard. I think the longer we've gone to the Latin Mass, the more accustomed we are to silence as a type of music. It's kind of weird to say that, but there's such reverence in the silence that we're losing our ability to sing appropriately and fittingly to our King.
I'm all right with that.
I know you are. But sometimes I think it's good because he actually asks us to sing. And Psalms are full of that. You sing the hours is another type of singing.
Yeah, speaking of, you just said two things that I want to respond to.
Okay, go ahead.
We were supposed to have there's a podcast YouTube channel, Sing the Hours. I don't know if we've talked about it or not. We're supposed to have.
I think we've mentioned it because it's awesome.
We were going to have Paul Rose on the show this week, and then someone went and got her teeth pulled out of her face and then put back in again.
Okay.
And hold on, I don't want to do the whole dentist conversation again. She had a major dental appointment, came home, and it's like, I can't talk, my mouth. And so we had to cancel that appointment or that conversation. But Singing the Hours, I think that there is something to be said about, I like having the choir sing, and I think the choir is the schola at the church. Let them sing. I don't think there's an obligation on us as the congregation to necessarily have to join in on that at the TLM. Mm-hmm. We're talking about that, not the Novus Ordo. But going back to all the things that are going on this morning with when you said trying to offer up the pain of the knees and all that, I've been having very mentally challenging weeks for quite a while now, and so I don't want to talk about it very much, but I was really struggling this morning. I've been struggling a lot just in general of just offering it up. One thing that you had said reminded me of something else I saw in Liturgy of the Hours. I don't have my the current volume with me right now, but just this past week, one of the Office of Readings talked about a letter that St. Paul wrote, and the homilist or whoever the author was paraphrasing St. Paul and basically saying it's better to limp while staying in line with God than to be sprinting out of alignment. So the idea, and it kind of made me think of some of the other things we've talked about lately, of like, you might be struggling with the prayers, or you might be struggling with the songs, or you might be struggling with going to Mass at 2+ hour long liturgy. You might be struggling to stay in a routine. Your summertime routine might be tossed out the window right now, and you might feel like you're limping. So that's why this jumped out at me, because I have very much felt like I'm so behind right now in everything, and I feel like I am limping, and that is not a good feeling for me. That's one of the worst things for me. I mean, that's an Achilles heel for me to be behind. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm letting people down. I feel like all these negative self-beliefs come out to the forefront. That's what I was struggling with at Mass this morning. And when I get like that, it is like a sort of blindness happens. I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. I can't think anything. I just think all I can feel is the pain. And I've used this example. If I were to go over to you with a hammer and hit your thumb and say, now think about daisies and tell me how beautiful they are, and you just got this screaming, painful thumb. You can't think of anything but the thumb. And so even to think I'm going to offer this up,
it just didn't occur to you.
It's an irrationality is happening at that moment.
Yeah,
It's an absolute blindness. And the fact that I'm even able to do a podcast right now, it's like not something I wanted to do. So by the grace of God, we're able to do it. But this all goes back to kind of like this idea that you and I have been bantering around for the last couple of weeks of what could be a conversation for the show. And it is that, how do we deal with things in the summer? And one thing that you brought up was the Ignatian practice of when things are in turmoil, don't allow the routines that you have established to falter. And again, talking about Liturgy of the Hours, it has been, I'll just say it, it's been near torture for me the last 2 weeks, praying Liturgy of the Hours. Now, someone might go, oh, Greg, you can't say that about the beautiful prayers in Psalm. I'm just telling you.
We're not saying there's anything wrong with the prayers.
No.
It's the energy required to pray them.
Not saying that there's anything wrong with the prayers. I'm saying that there's wrong with the person who's doing the praying. Right. And the prayers have been so dry. I go through them and I'm reading them and I'm like, Holy Spirit, help me to absorb something. But I feel angry and I feel bitter and I feel discouraged and all these things. And yet, to that point, the Ignatian practices, don't stop doing these things. Don't stop praying the Rosary. Don't stop whatever your practices are. Don't stop those things. And in the summer, it's so everything is, when you're a kid, and like I know Lily's done this in the past. Make like the little paper rings so that you're tearing off a ring. It's like I'm so close to the last day of school, and every day you're tearing off a ring to get to that last day, and finally it's the last ring. Yeah, we're out of school. It's summertime. And I can't even remember the last time I felt that about summer, where it's just like, I can't wait for, this thing to begin, because I've started to feel like summer is when just everything just gets tossed out the window. So our podcast, we missed a show a couple weeks ago, almost missed one today. All the things we've talked about in the last couple episodes, right? Don't want to reiterate everything. I'm almost finished with this project that I've been behind on. I think it's my year. I wonder if it is the years I spent as a project manager and software development manager, where like every single minuscule task that not only I but my team had to get accomplished, every little 10-line piece of code I had to capture and put on a timeline and track to make sure everyone was staying on time. Otherwise, the entire project was going to get behind it. And one little fallback could throw everything out the window, and you got to go back and rearrange the whole schedule. Well, right now, I'm the project manager, and I'm the developer, and I'm the host, and I'm and all the things that we've talked about in the last couple of shows that have happened in the last 3 months now that just have sent our household into upheaval. Right now, I'm battling that being behind, feeling scatterbrained, not having any control of stuff. I'm doing the thing I've done in the past where I'm like starting to wonder if I have early onset dementia. I mean, multiple times this week, like the other day we watched a TV show and the next day, it was you, me, and Ben watched it. And the next day y'all are talking about parts of it. And I'm like, I almost felt like you were messing with me for a minute. I'm like, how do I not remember any of what y'all, I mean, like details that I should have remembered just from the night before. And so anyway, I found myself thinking about, Bruce Willis and Robin Williams both got dementia and just their decline. And that's all, so and this is summer, and this is normally when this happens to me, I'm starting to realize I'm always looking at patterns. I'm always trying to look for patterns and detect patterns for behavior and other things. And this is a summertime pattern where things go into upheaval and lots of projects. You're midway through the year. You're starting to feel the pressure of what needs to get done before the end of the year. And I'm just feeling it right now.
Well, and I think some of that comes from basically being your own boss, where there's a greater sense of pressure because you have to tell yourself what to do. You have to boss yourself around.
But parents, right, of kids in the summertime, they may or may not be their own bosses. But I would think that it's just the being tossed out of one routine, but trying to maintain a routine at the same time.
Oh, sure. There's your plans, and then there's what happens to you.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had plans. I mean, loose plans and
some solid plans.
And some solid plans. But you know what? I'm not, it's okay, because where there are some real surprises or trials, then there's also like some victories that happen. Some real, in my opinion, miraculous victories.
Yeah, and that's where my blindness. See, that's where your optimistic sunshine goggles help you. My blindness, I can't see the miracles.
That's the name of the show.
Optimistic sunshine goggles. I don't know if it is or not, but we can definitely.
I always want it to be, but you're always just going to do, no, it's got to be SEO friendly.
Well,
no one's ever going to Google optimistic sunshine goggles.
Talking about hard and fast things. So it's like we've been talking about a lot of things we're working on with Rosary Army. Literally tomorrow, our new website is supposed to launch. I say supposed to because I'm like, there's still a lot of things on our bullet or our punch list that have to get done. Now, the team that I'm working with is helping to make this happen. Our buddies over at Fiveable, they're like, hey, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. I'm like, okay. And it's funny because we had a meeting on Friday, and I called you up because we're finalizing sort of a different logo that we're using for School of Mary on the new School of Mary site. Now, School of Mary is not launching this week. Again, we mentioned this last week. Step 1, brand new Rosary Army website. Step 2 will be School of Mary and the new Shopify store and all that. So the new website launches this week. We're going over the list, and I keep finding stuff. This is again the project manager in me, and just quality assurance, and I keep finding stuff, and I'm starting to feel bad because I keep finding stuff and putting it on our punch list. And so we were kind of wrapping up, and I'm like, all these things have to get double checked, right? We're going to be checking these things, right? And it's like, and I'm like, I really want you to check them before I check them. And then it was funny because Dave number 1 on, who's leading this, he was like, oh, trust me, we'll check them because I don't want you to be the one finding the things. And so I mean, he very much does not want me tomorrow to be the one who.
And what about this?
Yeah.
And that.
And so then what's funny just about that also, okay, so we got this website. We're also working on School of Mary stuff, editing videos, trying to figure out what we're going to talk about on a podcast. I'm doing the audio book, and I haven't done a new chapter of my 86th on my Substack for like the last 3 weeks. I sent out an apology note about that yesterday as well. But I'm literally on this book, The Pope's Cabinet. These chapters, some of the chapters in it are really short. There's some that are really long. I spent most of Friday working on one. It was an hour and a half long. But I'm so close. If you're watching the video right now, here I'm holding up the book. I don't know if you can see my bookmark. I only have like less than 50 pages left.
Yeah, hold it back toward me so it's being
to
focused.
narrate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I only have this much left to narrate, and I've already narrated this huge chunk. And it really is a great book. I've really enjoyed this book. Oh, that's not how much I have left. Sorry. This is how much I have left. I was holding the wrong bookmark. Anyway, so yesterday you went to a bridal shower for Holly, and I was home, and I'm going to knock out some more chapters. And then I get, I'm like, I'm going to get stuff done. I don't want to get stuff done. I just want to slack off. It's Saturday. I want to here to Sunday. It's like, we're just working. Mac texts me, Transformers 12:30, you in? I'm like, I don't even want to see Transformers. Okay. So just to save some money, we actually signed up. Mac was telling me he signed up for the A-list for 3 months. It's the AMC theater thing. Sign up for it. It's like $20 a month for 3 months, or each of the 3 months. You could spend $15 on one movie. And I know I'm going to see a couple movies in the next month. So I went ahead and signed up for it as well. And then he and I can kind of map up our accounts and go. I remember how much he was excited when the first Transformers movie came out years and years ago. And I just know he enjoys these big spectacle movies more than I do. And I said, he always uses this line with me, in
the spirit of
in the spirit of
fraternal friendship
or fraternal brotherhood or whatever.
I feel like that's being duplicative. Fraternal friendship.
Yeah, in the spirit of fraternity, and he offers to do some thing for me or with me, as if it's some altruistic act on his part. And so I was doing the same thing to him, and I'm like, in the spirit of fraternity, I have no desire to go see Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, but I know that you want to, and now I have this A-list, and so I feel obligated to go watch stupid movies.
They should have called it Transformers: The Never-Ending Battle.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. And so he texted me, and I had mentioned it to him a couple days before. I'm like, hey, it was like 4:00 showing or something like that, and he couldn't do it. So now I'm trying to work, and that came up, and it was so funny because I was trying to explain to him. I'm sitting here like writing a block of text back to him when he sent, hey, Transformers 12:30, you want to go? And I'm like, I'm working on this book, and I got to do this, and I have obligations, and and this long list of excuses, and I just went, delete. I went, yeah, okay, sure. Can you pick me up? I just
good
gave
for you.
No, it wasn't good for me. It was more, I give up. I know I had all these things to do, and so I went and watched, Transformers. Was Rise of the Beasts.
Was there anything redeemable about that entire show, movie, whatever?
Redeemable?
Yeah,
that's
that was a cool scene. Anything?
I don't know.
Wow.
I mean,
okay.
It looks the same. Well, okay, yeah. There was a. I mean, I don't want to say there was a thing that happened at one point, and I don't even want to say at what point in the movie because I don't want to give any spoilers. There was kind of there was something neat. There was one neat thing, but I don't want to say what it was. Yeah, it involved a business card. I'll say that, and so I thought that was kind of funny. So anyway, so our summers are all crazy right now, and the new website is supposed to launch this week, which that's exciting. So.
Also, this is totally spontaneous, but I just want to brag on these water bottle stickers from this company called Just Love Prints. I wanted some Marian stickers for my water bottle. They have no idea I'm even promoting them right now. But
is this justloveprints.com? Is that them?
That's them.
Heartfelt Catholic stickers?
Yeah. And they're all like dishwasher safe, all this good stuff. So if you can put it on things if you put it on your laptop, don't throw that in the dishwasher. Just leave that alone. But I was really impressed by the types of stickers that they had that I thought really matched my love of Mary, especially my consecration to her. There's some of those prayers that I now have on my water bottle, and wonderful stickers about the Rosary, which of course we love. And so I have them on my water bottle because we all three have the exact same water bottle in this family. And it's getting really annoying how we keep reaching for one another's water bottles. But now mine is very distinct. And so if you're watching the video, I will slowly rotate mine around and you can see some lovely, cool Catholic stickers.
She looks really familiar to me. Lindsay, who runs
and just like a little family company. Like, oh, wow, this is so awesome. And I love what they're doing. And I just want to brag on them. I'm just super happy with my very Catholic stickers.
You need
Helps
some
me-
Rosary Army stickers on there, though.
I know I will. I will get some. I'll put some of the little ones. I just didn't get to it, but I will.
So we also got some feedback after the last show. We talked about the new Rosary Army website, and then School of Mary, and then trying to build out the new Shopify store. And I talked about this literally just came in right before we started recording from Cheryl, and she says, "I love your new idea with the pathway for a free rosary using the course method." We talked about that last week on the program.
So glad you approve, because it's just what needed to be done. It's an opportunity to speak with people, inform them throughout the entire process so that they really will, I think, appreciate what they're getting in the mail and take it seriously.
My concern is that the rosary requests will go down because we're making people to jump through hoops. But the positive is that I think that we're going to have more engaged new Rosary Army soldiers, that they're going to understand really what the ministry is about and the mission of the ministry is about, and invite them into it more deeply. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. But again, we're going to have to start recording those things pretty soon. If School of Mary is going to launch in a month, and we haven't even begun to record some of those things.
But we're starting to get our schedule back. It's happening. Do you feel it?
Not one iota. Did you not hear me at the beginning of the show?
Right. Okay, but we have to brag on one little thing before we continue. Our son Ben has done so well with driving that he is officially, miraculously driving independently now. So Greg and I are starting to reclaim some of our days back to do our respective tasks, which is sort of a new thing. So he's got 1 week under his belt where he has driven himself to and from his internship.
Which is an hour away, minimum of an hour away in good traffic.
I mean, he rose to the occasion. He is very happy with his car, and he's doing so well with his driving. I just have to offer up praise and thanksgiving to our Lord Jesus Christ for making that happen, because that really was a miracle to us. We didn't think it would get done this quickly, but that's really helping us to reclaim some of our summertime opportunities to get back on track with the website and all this good stuff. So,
we also got an email from Evelyn who let us know. Last week we mentioned, or someone said something about seeing Jennifer interviewed on Formed, and we had no clue what this person was talking about.
Evelyn solved the mystery.
Yeah, she solved it. She says, when episode 480 showed up in my podcast app yesterday, I watched it on YouTube and decided this morning to do a lookup of Willits on the formed.org site and found 2 videos with Jennifer, and she sent the links. One of them is, "Sorry God, I'm just too busy, squeezing prayer into a full life." We didn't go watch it, but we saw the thumbnail, and we immediately recognized the fireplace that we had in our house in Indiana. So that video is probably 5 or 6 years old already. I don't remember what year that mom and her son came and interviewed you, but I think it was 2018. So it's been 5 years.
Wow.
Evelyn says, "I try to remember to watch and like them on YouTube rather than just listen to the audio on my podcast player." I think she's talking about our show at this point, going over to our YouTube channel. Thank you for that. If you watch our videos on YouTube, do make sure you're subscribing. Leave comments. That helps the algorithm. Hit the like button, the subscribe, all those kinds of things, notifications. We're trying really hard to build it up and justify the extra work that we're doing with the video stuff. So if you can help in any way, we appreciate that. But she says that she does that to help with the algorithms. She said, "Jennifer, I like the ball cap you were wearing last week with Rosary Army."
Oh, we were drinking and everything. I remember now. It's all coming back to me.
Well, that's what drinking does to you. It takes a while to come back with your memories.
Yeah.
She says, "And as the saying goes, Greg bought the T-shirt when she still had a full-time job." Good product placement and segue into talking about the new and improved website coming in June. Well, and again, the website in June, the store will be sometime in July. And like Jennifer, I am a hugger and don't grab folks I don't know, and will ask permission if something comes up in conversation that sets off that hugging impulse. It just makes it sound like a robot. It's like,
I must hug that person.
I must hug that person. I will clinch that person into an awkward embrace. She says, "Another good episode, another longtime listener, Evelyn." Thank you, Evelyn, for that. And then also, did you want to say something to Evelyn on that?
No, one thing that she did point out, I don't know if you mentioned it, that there were 2 videos on Formed, One of them actually really surprised me that was on Formed at all, and that was that talk I gave about the depression, with Greg's depression, and what it was like for me as the wife to sort of navigate that particular journey, in loving my husband. And all this time, I thought that was like a proprietary talk that was sort of locked away in a vault somewhere for people who bought into that conference years ago. But I didn't know that got, I guess, repurposed and now is just available for anity to watch on Formed. So I'll just let you know it's out there.
I didn't know that either when I agreed to let my wife talk about my depression. So
if you want to see it, maybe you heard about it,
Thanks,
but you
Formed.
never saw it. Now you know where to go.
See, I know the guy who's running Formed now because I used to work with him at Ben.
Yeah.
Ben Akers
right,
is in charge of that. So
Okay.
Ben, maybe if next time you post something of our family on your we had nothing. We had no control over that. Jenny sent me a link. Actually, she sent me a photograph of the Wall Street Journal from a few weeks ago, and this was just kind of a neat thing.
Okay.
She says, "I don't." Did she send this to you?
She just sent it to you.
She said, "I don't know if you have
fine.
access to the Wall Street Journal." I do not.
We do not.
But this
it's
article,
behind a paywall.
Yeah. But you can tell she's got the actual newspaper. Yeah. She actually subscribes to a genuine paper. God bless you, Jenny. So she took a photograph of an article that was recently in the editorial section of the paper and pointed out that in the third column, it mentioned John Paul II and referring to the School of Mary. So in the Wall Street Journal, they're talking about schoolofmary.com. No, they're just talking about the School of Mary. They're not talking about the new website.
It's a very important phrase.
But, it is, but it's not very well known. So it is kind of impressive that the editorial, it was written by Nicholas Tomeno, who is apparently the assistant editorial features editor at the Wall Street Journal. But it was an editorial in regards to something that was happening in Manhattan at St. Vincent Ferrer Church. And the idea of praying the Rosary and talking about some of the different pilgrimages to apparition sites around the world. But and also a procession, a Marian procession. So this would have been in May, right? And probably is when this was in regards to Mother's Day. And it says in this third column, I saw it a second ago, and I'm not going to find it. And so we did, starting at 55th Street and Lexington Avenue, spiritually walking in what Pope John Paul II referred to as the School of Mary, to meditate on the mysteries of the Rosary, a compendium of the gospel. The central events in our Lord's life is to contemplate with her the face of Christ. To do so on the streets of New York is a way of bringing the faith into sharp view. It is to witness those whom we're called to love on every street corner, the immigrant, the homeless, the elderly, babies and strollers, the unborn. With Christ on our mind and Mary as our aid, it is to see him in everyone who passes by. I thought that was a great quote, and I'm probably going to hold on to that quote and use it somewhere, particularly wanting to quote Wall Street Journal. But the fact that it's in the Wall Street Journal,
that's impressive.
God bless you, Mr. Tomato, for putting that in there. Not Mr. Tomato, Mr. Tomato. You thought that's what I said. I didn't say Mr. Tomato. I said Mr. Tomato.
Tomeno with an N.
Tomeno. You say tomato. I say tomano. Let's just call this whole show off.
Okay.
So thank you, Jenny, for that. It's important, and you're seeing things like this, right? With this, I don't know a lot of what's going on with the National Eucharistic Congress that's being planned for next year. I kind of have mixed feelings about some of it. Part of it is the cost of it. It for a family of four to go, it's like several hundreds of dollars just for the tickets to get in, and then you got to think about the travel costs and hotels and everything else. And so for a family to go, it could be a couple grand, which is, coming from the perspective of having it had in Atlanta for free all these years, it's sort of like, well, and they posted a couple of the speakers, but you don't really know what the program is going to be. I'm not saying this is any complaint. I'm just saying some of my reservations. Things are happening in a lot of other places, though. We're seeing a lot of different processions. We were going to have an outdoor Eucharistic procession today. I saw in our local Catholic newspaper a listing of parishes that were planning Eucharistic processions. I see it in other places. New York actually had thousands and thousands of people. The Hispanic community in New York helped to arrange an outdoor Eucharistic procession. I think it went like right down through Times Square. Can you imagine going on a Eucharistic procession with thousands of people through Times Square? That's kind of an unheard of thing in our lifetime. This is not something that we see very often. So the fact that these things are happening, the National Eucharistic Congress is happening, there is a spotlight. I have been very jaded. In regards to these things, part of it has been, a couple years ago when it was announced, it felt like it was the bishops trying to make up for closing the churches during COVID. It felt like, just forget about the fact that we didn't allow you to come in and receive the Eucharist or go to Eucharistic adoration, but the Eucharist is the most important thing, so now we're going to be doing these things. And so I'm not justifying my thoughts at all. I'm just trying to be honest that I was very like, really, you want us to trust you and follow you right now? It just didn't feel like
it's important now, but it wasn't important then.
Yeah. And so It felt like at first it felt gimmicky, but now I'm starting to go, oh well, maybe this is not gimmicky. And I know it's terrible to say this. Again, it's like, don't lambaste me here. It's just...
Well, Greg, it sounds like you need a pair of my Optimistic Sunshine goggles.
Googles? You know what? Okay, this is a completely different story. So years and years ago, like 20 plus years ago, 22 years ago, because Walt was a baby, I was a part of a writers group, a local writers group. And it was me. One of the guys showed up every once in a while, Jay, and then a bunch of women, okay? Mm-hmm. And and one of the women, Stephanie, great lady.
She makes great purses.
You still have the purse she made for you.
I still have them, but it broke, and so I'm just so
this
sad.
is, I didn't know that. You just mail it to her. She'll fix it for you. She still lives in the same house.
Oh, really?
I totally think so.
I'm making a note right now.
Stephanie and I are still friends on Facebook. Okay, so anyway, so I can't remember what she was trying to do, but she was trying to look something up. And she was struggling. She could not find it. I'm like, Stephanie, you just go here. You just go to google.com and then type this in. And it's like, I'm telling you, I think I was on the phone with her. I'm like, I'm telling you, I see it. It's the first thing that pops up. And she goes, I'm going to, and she's like reporting what some error is. Now, keep in perspective, this is probably 1999, 2000. Okay. So Google is not an industry that it is now. It was a search engine, and that was all it was at that point. They didn't even have Google Docs and all that yet. Going over and over again. So this is a woman in my writers group, okay? In my writers group, someone who works with words. After probably 10 minutes, I'm like losing my mind. I couldn't screen share. There was nothing I could do. I'm pulling back my years as a tech support analyst for Lotus Software. I'm trying to figure out, how do I find out exactly what's on the screen? And so I'm doing tricks with her that I used to say, okay, I need you to say each letter that you're typing as you type it, but I need you to pause 1 second in between typing each letter.
You said that to her?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Because what she was typing it in, she goes, I'm like, just go to google.com.
Right.
And so she's going, I am going to, and it's showing me these things. I'm going, and she finally goes, okay, G, O, G, G, L, E. I'm like, Stephanie, you just typed in goggle.com. You've been trying to go. We've been spending 15 minutes.
Did she just laugh?
You're a writer. You're supposed to know how to spell Google versus goggle. It's just. Oh. I was going to Google. No, you're going to goggle.com.
Goggle.com.
So, yeah. That's part of the reason why I don't want to use optimistic sunshine Googles. That's gonna show up. All right.
Maybe somebody is looking for that. Okay, but can we just talk about Google one more time? Because maybe you know how to do this, and I would love to learn how to turn this thing off. And I didn't even know what it was called. But when you go to search for something and you go to google.com as your starting place.
Okay.
The word in the blue and red and yellow, green letters, Google, sometimes is just the text and sometimes it's plain, right? And then you have your search bar. But if there's like a special occasion or something that Google wants to celebrate, they will have like an animated or an extra illustrated version of their logo. And sometimes it will have or highlight things that maybe I don't want to see. And I thought, is there a way to turn this off?
I don't think so.
So
No.
that there's and so I did some research, and it's called the Google Doodles.
Yeah.
They're doodle dailies. And I didn't even know what that was, but now I know it's a thing. And people have actually tried to figure out how to decode just to turn it off on the back end.
Well,
And so I think there's a way, but it's not easy.
Yeah, probably the best way is to go to duckduckgo.com and not use Google.
Or Firefox
That's like
Microsoft
That's
Edge.
like saying, is there a way of going to Netflix but turning off the da-dum? No, it's Netflix. They're gonna put up the da-dum. It's like
Da-dum is part of Netflix.
Yeah.
Forever. If you don't want the da-dum, just stop watching
you know
TV
what I think
on
about
Netflix.
you asking if we can get rid of that? That's da-dum.
That's a da-dum question.
Like, is there a way? This is your dad coming out, right? This is your dad going, I just bought a fax machine, but can I actually send an email through it? Use your computer, Hector. Why are you trying to do something with it that it's not made to do? That was your dad.
Yeah. Because he had a mechanic's mind and he wanted to know, he wanted to push the limits of how that thing was made to see, but can I do this? Can I do that?
Yeah, I wonder how many people are actually okay. Now
How to disable
on
Google
the
Doodles.
Chrome flags page, search for Doodles in the search bar. You will find a flag called Enable Doodles on the local NT.
There should be a way to disable
This
it.
is going down a rabbit hole that not even Peter Cottontail would dare to go down. So,
By the way, rabbits are definitely up in population this year.
thank you for hanging out with us for this short show. I need to get this to Ben Barron so he can edit it today. He has a party in 3 hours, and he said, if we don't get it to him, you won't get a show.
There you go.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for your patience as we're trying to get so many things done. If you've emailed us and we haven't responded,
We're sorry. We read it, and we thank you for writing into us.
if you've sent us questions that you want us to answer, then we encourage you to go to goggle.com and ask your question there. You might find a better answer and a faster answer than you would get from us. But that's all we got for you this week, unless you have anything else to add at the last minute.
No, I'm good. We just, we crave your prayers always, and we will continue praying for you, that you have a holy summer, that you don't give up on your spiritual disciplines.
Hey, one thing, I don't know if you can actually do this or not, but pre-order a copy of the Pope's Cabinet, the audiobook on Audible. You can, it will hopefully be available in the next few weeks as soon as I get these last chapters in. And I think they just have to flip some switches and Audible does their final checks. But, and then if you are an Audible listener and you do listen, go leave really great, 5-star reviews for the narrator.
Yes, he's worked so hard on pronunciating.
Pronunciating
See, this is
Goggle.
happening. We're all going a little crazy. We need more rest and relaxation
Well,
to recover, rejuvenate, restore our brains. That's what we need to do. Restore our brains.
that's a lot of alliteration to say
Goodbye.
Very little.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, pray your rosary every day.
And do whatever it takes to be holy.
We'll see you hopefully very soon. Pray for us, and we'll pray for you. God bless, folks.
Bye.